I jolted awake that night, not from a dream, but from a sound. A faint laugh, feminine, coy, threaded with the kind of intimacy that should never live inside my bedroom. It came from Mark's phone, glowing on his nightstand. I leaned forward, my hand trembling as I reached for it. But before my fingers brushed the glass, Mark's grip was iron. He yanked it away, eyes sharp, voice a low snarl. "Don't ever touch my things, Rachel." In that moment, it felt as if a knife split the air between us. My husband of 15 years, the man I had built my entire life around, looked at me not with love, but with suspicion, almost contempt. I swallowed hard, forcing myself not to cry. What cut deeper than his tone was the memory it awakened. Years earlier, I had walked away from a career in publishing to raise our daughter, Lily. Mark said he needed me at home, that we were a team, that someday he'd give me the world for my sacrifices. I believed him. I believed in us. But that night, under the cold glow of his phone screen, I realized I might have been the only one still holding the dream. Mark rolled over, his back to me, phone clutched tight in his hand. Sleep never returned. My mind raced, images colliding like broken glass. What was he hiding? Why did his laugh sound so warm with her, so cold with me? I slipped quietly out of bed, pacing the kitchen. The refrigerator hummed, the clock ticked, and with every sound, my heart pounded harder. On the counter lay a half-open envelope from the bank. I hadn't noticed it before. Curiosity tugged harder than fear. I pulled the paper free. My breath caught. A notice of withdrawal. Thousands of dollars gone from our joint account. I never touched that money without telling him. And Mark. He hadn't said a word. A chill spread down my spine. This wasn't just about another woman. Something bigger was moving beneath the surface. The next morning, I tried to pretend nothing was wrong. Lily, just 12, bounded into the kitchen, ponytail swinging, her smile bright. She was the light that kept me breathing, but children see more than we think. As she poured cereal, she looked up at me. "Mom, are you okay? You didn't sleep." I forced a smile. "Just a little tired, sweetheart." That's when Mark entered, phone already pressed to his ear. He ruffled Lily's hair absent-mindedly, eyes locked on something, or someone, far away. "You don't have to worry," I heard him murmur. "She's asleep. I'll call you later." Lily froze. She glanced at me, her eyes widening. She had heard it too. The spoon slipped from her hand, clattering against the bowl. And in that sound, something unspoken passed between us. Truth was creeping into our home, no matter how much Mark tried to lock it away. As Mark left for work, I found myself drifting back through the years. I remembered the nights I stayed awake with colicky, cries while he advanced his career. I remembered patching clothes, stretching every dollar, baking birthday cakes from scratch, because I wanted Lily to feel love in every bite. And I remembered his promises. "One day, Rachel, you'll see. All this will be worth it." Now I wondered if that worth it was always meant for someone else. I caught my reflection in the kitchen window. Tired eyes, hair pulled back, lines I hadn't noticed before. I wasn't angry yet. I was wounded. But beneath that wound, something sharper stirred. Because betrayal doesn't just erase love, it awakens strength you didn't know you had. That evening, Mark returned smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't his usual brand. He dropped his briefcase carelessly and muttered, "Why's the house always so cold lately?" I stared at him, my hands gripping the counter. "Maybe because you've already left it," I whispered. He shot me a glare. "Don't start, Rachel. You've been so dramatic lately. Everyone sees it, even Lily." The cruelty in those words was deliberate. He was twisting the knife, trying to make me question myself. But he didn't see Lily standing in the hallway, her small face paling as she overheard. Mark walked past her without a glance, and when the door slammed behind him, Lily ran to me, hugging me tight. "Mom," she whispered, "why does Dad talk like that?" I didn't answer. My silence was answer enough. That night, when I finally convinced Lily to sleep, I sat alone in the darkened living room. My fingers traced the edges of the bank letter again, and then I noticed something else, slipped between the envelopes at the bottom of the pile. A hotel receipt, 2 dinners, 2 glasses of wine, a room charged for the night. My chest ached. I thought I had no more tears, but they came anyway, hot and unstoppable. From the doorway, Lily's small voice pierced the silence. "Mom, I heard Dad say something else on the phone. He said, 'She'll sign soon, and then it'll all be ours.'" I froze. Sign what? Ours who? And in that instant I knew. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage. I was fighting for my life, my home, and the future I had built with every ounce of sacrifice. The battle hadn't begun yet, but the ground beneath my feet was already cracking. Before we go deeper into today's story of betrayal and truth, don't forget to subscribe to Her Betrayal Stories and hit the notification bell. Here, you'll always find stories of sacrifice, betrayal, and the powerful tables turned. Where are you watching from today? Leave a comment below. Maybe the next story will echo something you've lived through. By morning, the house felt like a stage after closing. Lights off, props abandoned, the illusion broken. I flipped blueberry pancakes for Lily and pretended my hands weren't shaking. She watched me, 12 going on 30, too wise for adult lies. "Mom," she said, "if something bad is happening, I want to help." "You get to be a kid," I told her. "My job is making sure we're okay." Mark came in late, hair perfect, cologne too loud. For Lily, he smiled bright. For me, he saved a colder face. "Partnership dinner tonight," he said, like destiny excused him from ordinary rules. He left his briefcase by the door and took only his phone. Message received. I looked anyway. Inside, itemized charges, a map to a lakeside resort, and 2 glossy cards. One for a family law attorney, one for a private banker. My throat tightened. After school, Lily hovered in the hallway while Mark changed shirts. He whistled in the mirror, cheerful and empty. I asked for 5 minutes. He checked his watch. "Where did the money go?" I held up the bank notice. "And why a hotel receipt for 2? He didn't flinch. "You've been unstable, Rachel. Everyone sees it. Let me handle the accounts." He tapped the paper, soothing a child. Words can slap harder than hands. He brushed past me, and the door closed on his cologne and his smile. Near midnight, his phone buzzed. On the locked screen, a preview bloomed. 2 wine glasses and a message. "Miss you already," crowned with a heart. I photographed it with my own phone. Proof doesn't heal. It anchors. The next day, I waited early at school pickup. Mothers crossed the asphalt with coffee and tired grace. I thought of every birthday cake, every fever, every school project glued at the kitchen table while Mark closed another deal. I had built this family like a house. He was quietly unscrewing the hinges. Lily slid into the seat and handed me a napkin-wrapped bundle. Inside was a tiny recorder. "For when you're ready," she said. "If Dad says things, we won't forget." "You shouldn't have to protect me," I whispered. "Maybe we protect each other," she said. At home, I started a folder. Bank letter, hotel receipt, photo of the message, business cards, a ledger of dates and times. Paper doesn't gaslight. That evening, Mark announced dinner at his parents'. Everyone's worried, he added, as if kindness were a diagnosis. Try to be normal. His mother hugged like a press. You look pale, dear. Vitamins? At the table, conversation skittered. Mark cleared his throat. Mom. Dad. Rachel's been overwhelmed. She's forgetting things. Lily's hand found my knee beneath the table. Mark's father, who treats image like oxygen, nodded. Rest is key. Mark will manage the accounts while you recover. Recover hung in the air like a verdict. I smiled and ate my salad. Inside, a furnace roared. If you've ever been told you're overwhelmed or unstable, just for asking fair questions, you're not alone. What would you do at this table? In my seat. On the drive home, Lily said, He's setting a story. I know. Then we set ours. Packages began arriving, sealed envelopes addressed to Mark. He hid some under his arm like contraband. I photographed labels and tracking numbers. I didn't open them. The pattern testified. While he showered, I reached for towels and found an unzipped garment bag. New suit, champagne tie. The receipt in the pocket carried a date 3 days away, and the resort's logo. I photographed that too. Over spaghetti, I asked, What's happening Saturday? Retreat, he said. Partners and spouses. Should I pack shoes? You're not invited. Focus on yourself. It will be better for everyone. Lily stood. May I be excused? When her door clicked, Mark lowered his voice. Push this and I'll make it formal. You won't like the outcome. You think I'm weak because I loved you, I said. That's your mistake. He laughed without humor. Judges don't care about sentiment. On the shelf, the recorder Lily had placed blinked like a heartbeat. That night, she lay beside me, whispering in the dark. If he wants you to look unstable, we make a plan that's boring. Boring is believable. She counted steps. Stop arguing, keep records, speak to a lawyer, let him talk himself into a corner. The way her mind clicked into place scared me and saved me. Where did you learn this? I asked. From watching you, she said. You always make sense out of mess. For the first time in weeks, I slept. Morning brought sunlight on the floor and Lily's warm hand. In the mail sat another bank envelope addressed to both of us. I opened it with a knife. An alert. The living trust had been amended. I was no longer primary successor trustee. He was rewriting the future on paper. I steadied myself. Then I did something he didn't expect. I called a lawyer. She listened, then said, Don't confront him tonight. Keep gathering. Bring what you have. And Rachel, move your mind from hurt to strategy. That's where your power lives. I thanked her and hung up. Lily looked up from homework. I must have smiled differently because she straightened. What changed? Everything, I said. At sunset, Mark paused in the doorway, cheerful emptiness on his face. He kissed the air near my cheek, already halfway elsewhere. He didn't notice the recorder on the shelf, the file folder under a recipe book, the steadiness in my eyes. Big day Saturday, he said. Don't wait up. I won't. He hesitated, then shrugged. The house exhaled after the door closed. In the hush, Lily walked in with 2 small objects, a key ring I didn't recognize, and a slim black phone I'd never seen. She set them on the table like offerings. Mom, she said, quietly, almost ceremonial, I think it's time you saw what he keeps in the glove compartment. The house held its breath. I never imagined a 12-year-old could speak with such gravity, but Lily's words that night carried the weight of justice. She laid the spare keys on the table, her eyes steady. Mom, she said, he's hiding things. If we don't look, he wins. I hesitated. For years I had been the wife who trusted, who forgave, who patched cracks with silence. But silence had become Mark's accomplice. I picked up the cold metal keys, their teeth pressing into my palm like a dare. The next morning, after Mark left for work, we slipped into the driveway. His car gleamed in the sunlight, polished like an alibi. My hand shook as I unlocked the glove compartment. Inside, stacked neatly, were documents bound with rubber bands, titles, transfers, a forged signature that mimicked my name but dragged unnaturally at the end. Beside them, a prepaid phone. Lily pressed the power button. Messages filled the screen. Dozens of them. From Sophie. Soon she'll sign. Bring the deed. I'll take care of the rest. We'll toast to freedom. I couldn't breathe. Freedom to him meant erasing me. Lily studied the phone like a detective. He thinks he's smart, but men like him, they talk too much. I sat down hard on the couch, head spinning. What are you suggesting? Let him prove himself. If he wants Sophie to believe, we give him the chance. Her voice didn't shake. Mine did. That's dangerous. Not if we control it. I can send her a message, pretend to be her. He'll bring the papers. He'll show his hand. I stared at my daughter, torn between fear and awe. She was 12, but her courage filled the room. She was the mirror of every sacrifice I had made. Finally, I whispered, "All right, but we do this together." That evening, while Mark showered, Lily typed quickly on the burner phone. "If you really love me, bring proof. Tomorrow, same place." Her fingers flew with the calm precision of someone who knew the stakes. She hit send and turned off the phone. I sat across from her, wringing my hands. "And if he suspects?" "He won't," she said. "He's blinded by what he thinks he deserves." When Mark came out, humming, he didn't notice the silence between us. He poured himself a drink, muttered about work stress, and kissed the air near my temple. I caught a whiff of cologne too floral to be his. I smiled faintly, tucking the secret between my teeth. The next day, Mark dressed sharper than usual. A navy suit, the champagne tie. He checked his reflection twice. "Don't wait up," he said casually. But in his briefcase, I saw the edge of documents peeking out. The trap was set. From a parked car down the block, Lily and I watched him enter the lakeside resort. My heart pounded so loudly I thought he might hear it from across the lot. He waited in the lounge, phone in hand, papers, clutched tight. He ordered wine, 2 glasses, but no one came. Sophie hadn't been summoned. Only us, watching through the tinted glass. I felt tears burn my eyes. There he was, my husband, smiling like a groom on his wedding day, rehearsing betrayal as if it were love. Lily's hand slipped into mine. Now we know. Later that night, when he returned, I was waiting in the living room. He looked startled, but covered it with a smirk. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked, setting his briefcase down. "Actually, I slept better than I have in weeks," I said. "Strange, isn't it?" His smile faltered. While he showered, Lily moved swiftly, sliding the recorder into his briefcase pocket. It clicked alive with a tiny red light. "Tomorrow," she whispered, "he'll write his own confession." The following evening, we gathered in the living room. Lily perched on the arm of the sofa, her eyes bright with unflinching resolve. Mark walked in, irritation etched across his face. "What is this?" Without a word, Lily pressed play. His voice filled the room, pouring from the recorder. Smooth, venomous, damning. "She's nothing. Once she signs, the assets are ours. Don't worry. I've already changed the trust." The words hung in the air like smoke. Rachel, the old Rachel, would have wept. This Rachel sat still, calm, as her husband turned pale. "Where did you—" he stammered, reaching for the device. But Lily's hand was quicker. She plugged it into the television, and his words exploded across the speakers. Undeniable. "She's nothing. She's nothing." She's nothing. Each repetition was a hammer against the fragile walls he had built. Mark's face drained of color. Rachel, you don't understand. I stood, placing the forged documents, the receipts, the phone messages one by one on the coffee table. A graveyard of lies. You thought I was blind. You thought love made me weak. My voice didn't tremble. But you forgot one thing. Truth doesn't stay buried. Mark's hands shook. You wouldn't dare. I already have, I said. Behind me, Lily's voice cut sharp as glass. You betrayed both of us. And now everyone will know. Mark lunged forward but stopped when the television screen flickered again. This time, the recording replayed his words on a loop. His own voice. His own trap. And for the first time, he looked afraid. Mark froze in the center of the living room, his reflection trembling on the dark TV screen, his own voice echoing like a curse he couldn't recall. She's nothing. She's nothing. She's nothing. The man who once charmed me with soft promises now looked like a child caught in a lie too large to contain. His hand shook on the briefcase handle. Rachel, please. This isn't what it seems. I laughed, bitter and low. It's exactly what it seems. He dropped into the armchair, rubbing his forehead as if pain excused betrayal. I was under pressure. Sophie, she pushed me. Lily stood, her small body glowing with rage. You're blaming her now? You called Mom nothing. You wanted us gone. Mark's eyes darted between us, calculating, searching for an exit. I can fix this. Rachel, we can start over. I'll end it with Sophie. Just burn those papers. I leaned forward, my voice steady as steel. You don't get to decide the ending anymore. You wrote your confession. You forged my name. You emptied our accounts. And you broke the only thing that mattered. Our family. I slid the folder across the table. Inside lay every piece of evidence. The forged trust, the hotel receipts, the withdrawal slips, and the phone full of Sophie's messages. Mark reached for it, but Lily snatched it away, holding it tight to her chest. No, Dad, not this time. You don't get to steal from us anymore. His face darkened. Give that to me. No, she said simply. Her voice was louder than his rage. I looked at him, my heart pounding but my mind clear. Tomorrow morning, this goes to my lawyer. Tonight, you're going to sit there and listen. Listen to what it feels like to be powerless. I pressed play again. His voice filled the house, damning him with every smug syllable. He buried his face in his hands. You told me you loved me. Lily's voice cracked, but her gaze never wavered. You said you'd always protect me and Mom, and all the time you were planning to throw us away. For what? For wine glasses and some woman who laughs at your lies? Mark looked up, stricken. Lily, please. No, she shouted. You don't get to say my name, not after this. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. He sagged back, as if even his daughter's rejection weighed more than the evidence. I stood, gathering the papers. I'll let the courts decide what you deserve. That's where justice lives now. Not in your hands, not in Sophie's. He lunged once more, desperation flashing. But this time I was ready. I pulled the recorder's USB drive from the TV and tucked it into my pocket. Try to take it, I warned, voice sharp as glass. And tomorrow you'll not only lose your family, you'll face criminal charges. He froze, rage pulsing under his skin. For the first time in our marriage, he realized he had no power here. Rachel, he whispered, broken, don't do this. I'll lose everything. I looked at him, this stranger who had once been my husband. You already lost us. Everything else is just paper. I turned to Lily. Go get your things. She dashed upstairs, footsteps like thunder, and returned with a backpack. She stood beside me, slipping her small hand into mine. Mark rose, voice cracking. "Where will you go?" "Anywhere you're not," I said. Lily stopped at the doorway, turning to face him one last time. "You wanted proof, Dad? Here it is. You proved who you really are, and you can never take that back." Her words cut deeper than any court document. He stumbled back into the armchair, eyes vacant, as though the walls themselves were closing in. The screen behind him still flickered, his voice on repeat. "She's nothing. She's nothing." But standing at the threshold with my daughter's hand in mine, I knew the truth. I was everything he could never break. We stepped out into the night, the cool air washing away years of silence. Behind us, the house still echoed with his betrayal. Ahead, the street stretched open beneath the moonlight, a road waiting for our footsteps. Lily squeezed my hand. "Mom, we did it." "Yes," I said softly, tears burning. "We did." And for the first time in years, the air in my lungs felt like freedom. The night we left, the world outside seemed sharper, cleaner, as if freedom itself carried a scent. The sky was streaked with silver, and Lily's backpack bumped against her side with every step. We didn't look back. We didn't need to. We stayed the first night at my sister's house. Her arms wrapped around me tight, no questions asked. Only the quiet comfort of someone who knew what betrayal smelled like. Lily slept curled beside me, her small hand clutching my shirt as though to anchor us both. For the first time in months, I dreamed without dread. The next morning, I walked into my lawyer's office with the folder pressed to my chest. She spread the evidence across her desk. Bank statements, hotel receipts, forged signatures, recordings. She examined them with a calm intensity. "Rachel," she said, "this isn't just betrayal. This is fraud, forgery, a case strong enough to hold in any court." I swallowed. "Will it protect Lily and me?" She leaned forward, eyes steady. "It will do more than protect you. It will give you your life back." I exhaled, my shoulders lowering for the first time in years. The law would be my shield. Mark tried everything. He called, begged, threatened. His voice flipped between desperation and rage. I didn't answer. My lawyer did. Every message he left, every word he spoke, was catalogued. Another brick in the wall closing around him. One evening, he appeared outside my sister's house. Lily peeked through the curtains and stiffened. He was pacing, holding flowers in one hand and documents in the other. "Rachel!" he shouted into the night. "Talk to me! You can't do this to us!" I stood behind the locked door, heart steady. "There is no us anymore." He slammed his fist against the doorframe, then dropped the flowers, crushed under his own shoes as he stormed away. Lily whispered, "He's already lost, Mom." And she was right. Weeks later, the courtroom became the stage for his unraveling. I sat with my lawyer, evidence stacked neatly before us. Mark strutted in, still in his tailored suit, but his eyes darted nervously, searching for exits that didn't exist. The judge listened to the recordings, the forged documents, the withdrawals. Each piece was a dagger carving away his credibility. When Lily was asked to testify, she rose bravely, her voice steady beyond her years. "My dad said my mom was nothing. But she's not nothing. She's everything. She's the reason I feel safe." The courtroom hushed. Mark's face crumpled. And in that silence, justice was no longer abstract. It was alive, breathing in every corner of the room. The judge's ruling was firm. Assets frozen, custody awarded to me, Mark held accountable for fraud. His empire of deceit collapsed in a single gavel strike. Afterward, Life didn't magically become easy. There were bills, new routines, nights when tears returned. But this time, they weren't from helplessness. They were the release of old pain finally leaving my body. Lily and I built new rituals: Sunday morning pancakes, evening walks, bedtime talks about anything and everything. We painted our small apartment with colors we chose together: soft blues and golden yellows, reminders that light always returns. One night she asked, "Do you ever miss him?" I thought for a moment. I miss the man I thought he was, but I don't miss the man he became. She nodded, her eyes wiser than her age. Then maybe we're better off. And we were. Standing by the window one quiet morning, sunlight warming my face, I realized the truth. Respect isn't given by blood or by vows. It's earned through love, loyalty, and kindness. Betrayal might shatter a marriage, but it cannot erase the worth of the one who sacrificed. To every woman watching this story unfold, if you've ever been told you're nothing, remember, the strength inside you is everything. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have stayed silent? Or would you have gathered your courage and stepped into the light of truth? Have you ever witnessed betrayal in your own family? Share your story in the comments, because sometimes speaking it aloud is the first step toward healing. Here, in this community, no one suffers alone. Each story is a reminder: justice belongs to those who claim it, and dignity belongs to those who refuse to surrender. If this story touched you, leave a comment or even a message to yourself below. Don't forget to subscribe to Her Betrayal Stories and turn on the notification bell. There are more stories of sacrifice, betrayal, and the tables turned waiting to remind you, you are not alone, and justice always finds its way. That night, as Lily and I sat on our new porch with mugs of hot cocoa, she leaned against me. "Mom," she said softly, "we made it." I kissed the top of her head. "Yes, sweetheart, we made it." Ahead of us, the horizon burned with the colors of a new dawn, and for the first time in years, I believed tomorrow belonged to us.